What's up, everybody? I'm Simon Sabro, and today I got for y'all my April manga reading log. So before we jump into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at SimonSabroYT. The link will always be down in the description. Also, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss an upload, all that good stuff. And also comment down what you've been reading recently or any recommendations, things you probably might want me to read, all that good stuff. Just comment something down below. So with all that out the way, let's just jump right into the video. So first I want to start off with the digital manga I have been reading, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I know not everybody reads that far into the digital manga. But the recent chapters for My Hero, JJK, Black Clover, and Kaiju number 8 they're really good. If you are interested in reading, some of those manga digitally, I would highly recommend it. They are extremely good right now. Black Clover did just go on hiatus for I think 3 months, which kind of hurts because I really do love Black Clover. But if you want to take the time out to catch up to it, now is definitely a good time to do so. And I'm probably gonna take the time out to maybe reread the last arc, because when I was reading it, weekly, I did enjoy it and it was really fun to read and all that stuff. But I kind of want to reread it as well as kind of just get a better understanding, because there have been a lot of theories going around on the last chapter and just that last arc in general, and I really want to reread it just to get a better picture of everything that happened in it. But JJK so far, I've been loving it, especially the parts with Yuta, the parts with Megumi. I've been loving JJK as of recently. My Hero, if you know, you know. That's all I'm gonna say. If you know, you know. I don't want to say too much about it, but if you know, you know. I also have been reading this a newer Shonen Jump title called Akane Banashi, which is about Rakugo, and it is really interesting, and I definitely recommend it. If you don't know what Rakugo is, it's kind of like a one-man acting kind of thing. It's basically just one person and they perform or do a whole performance by themselves. And it's really interesting. I had no idea what it was before that manga, but it's really interesting. And just the way the art is, the story, and just the uniqueness of it all is just so good. And I definitely recommend it. Earthchild, I have been loving. Like every chapter is kind of like either a really high or a really low chapter, but I have been enjoying it. And something about Earthchild, it feels like it's kind of wrapping up really quickly. Like the pacing is extremely fast in that manga, and it's so hard to kind of predict what's gonna happen next. But I really love it, honestly, and would definitely recommend it. But let's jump into the physical manga now. So the first physical manga we're going to talk about is Die Dark Volumes 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. And honestly, reading this series was so much fun, honestly. And I didn't expect to have so much fun reading it. It is by Q Hayashida, which is the creator of Dorohedoro, if you know. And honestly, I haven't read Dorohedoro, but I have seen the anime, which I did actually really enjoy. And overall, just Hayashida's art style is just so dark and gritty, and it's just beautiful to me, honestly. Especially just in the character designs. And this manga is about our main character named Zaha Sanko, or Saha, I forgot. Yeah, Zaha Sanko, which is really a good character. I'll be very honest. He's a very fun character. And here he is, actually. A little beat up in this picture, but the plot of the story is that Sanko's bones, if you get any of his bones, they'll grant you any one wish. But, and also he has this partner here named Avakian, which is kind of like his superpower, kind of like in a piece of armor that has its will of its own. And it's a really interesting start just from that. But the premise of the story is that Sanko just kind of wants to explore and just have fun as a teenager would. And honestly, I think that's a really cool premise. And Sanko as a character, he's not dark, he's not edgy, he's a really simple guy. Honestly, he's a really fun character, and his character plays so well with just the contradiction of Sanko's character and the style of the art is just so weird to me, honestly. But I really love it. And something about this manga, I said it in my manga collection video, but it reminds me a lot of Adventure Time. I'm not sure what it is, but when I read it, I tend to imagine Sanko's voice as Finn from Adventure Time. That's probably what it is. I don't know why, but for some reason, that's just what I do. So yeah, I did read the first 3 volumes of Die Dark. I don't know if the 4th volume has came out yet or not, but definitely gonna be picking up more of it, honestly. Now, the next manga I read is one a lot of you have been recommending to me. I haven't finished reading the volume yet, but I did read the first chapter and I really wanted to talk about it, and that is Eden Zero Volume 1. I'll be very honest. For one, thank you everybody who did recommend Eden Zero, but I have to be very honest, I am not the biggest fan of this story. I don't know what it is. I think I don't want to complain about the unnecessary fan service at times, because I know there's nothing wrong with that, really. It's very common in a lot of shonen stories, and I do also read stories with a lot of fan service. But I don't know, something about it in this manga, I think maybe just because of the impression I have from Fairy Tail already kind of stops me from enjoying this more than I really should. I don't know what it is, but I didn't really just enjoy that first chapter. I'm definitely gonna finish reading this volume to see if it might change my opinion, but I don't know, man. It's okay so far. Like I'm not really feeling it. Maybe it gets better, like maybe in like volume 2, volume 3, maybe it gets better, but I don't know. I'm not really liking it so far. It was cool, the little beginning part with the robots on the island. It was really cool. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm really not the most motivated to continue reading this series. I'll be honest, but like I said, definitely gonna finish reading this volume 1 and kind of just go from there about it. I might give volume 2 a shot, and I don't know. I'm gonna go from there, but yeah, that's Eden Zero. If it does get better in, say, a later volume, please let me know in the comments, because I really do want to enjoy the story, I'll be honest, but the way it's looking so far, I don't know. But like I said, yeah, if it gets better later on, comment down when it gets better and, you know, all that good stuff. But moving on to the next stuff I've been reading. So the next manga I've read is Given, and just volume 1, unfortunately, because I love this manga. I'll say it just outright. I love this manga, and it's a BL manga, as you can tell, but I don't know what it is. The art, the characters, music, it has a lot of things that I just really like, especially yeah, I really love music. For those who don't know, I do make the background music in all of my videos, and just like I said, the art in this manga is gorgeous. The characters gorgeous. Honestly, I don't know what it is, what the charm is about this manga. I can't like just pinpoint one thing, but everything about this manga just feels so good to read. Especially, unfortunately, I don't really remember any of the characters' names, but I know as I read it more, they're gonna stick with me. I could definitely tell. But this panel is just so beautiful, and oh my god, man, it is. I love this manga a lot, but the backstory of this character, this one here, it gets kind of revealed later on in this volume. I'm not going to talk about it, but it is really interesting and adds a lot of depth to the story, as well as just the mystery, not really mystery, but because it's just volume 1, we don't really know the full picture of everybody yet. And this manga has offered so much that I didn't expect, honestly, and it really surprised me. And one of the people who recommended me to read this manga in the comments definitely told me to check out the anime, because of course the music isn't portrayed in the manga. So I'm definitely gonna check that out probably once I finish reading all of this. And I'm really excited to pick up more volumes of Given. If you want to read the back of the book, here it is. Kind of just pause it, read at your own accord. But this manga is so good. Definitely looking forward to catching more of it. But the next thing I did read is Pleasure and Corruption, volumes 2, 3, and volume 4. Now, Pleasure and Corruption, I love this manga. I'm just gonna outright say it. I genuinely love this manga. It's very inappropriate, I'll tell you that much. It's definitely not a manga for everybody, and I wouldn't recommend it to just anybody. But it is extremely good. I cannot show that, but it is extremely good. And if you're a fan of, say, Shuzo Oshimi, I would definitely recommend this manga, because it does fit a similar theme that Shuzo Oshimi has. It's very like just kind of the coming of age stories, the thriller aspect, the getting to know yourself kind of thing, and just the darkness of it, so to say. And it's so interesting, just the relationship between these two characters. This is the main character, Zen, and just the relationship between them, as well as another character that gets introduced in volume 3. It is so interesting. I can't really show a lot of the pages in here because, like I said, they are very inappropriate, but the art in here is really good. The story, I love it so far, honestly. And I would definitely, like I said, I wouldn't recommend it to just anybody. And I really don't want to talk too much about it because I know it can put some people off. But like I said, if you like Shuzo Oshimi's work, you'll definitely love this manga. And I love Shuzo Oshimi's work, and actually that is the next thing we're going to talk about. So like I said, the next thing we're going to talk about is a work I read by Shuzo Oshimi, which is Blood on the Tracks, volumes 1 through 8. And this, oh man, Shuzo Oshimi did it again. That's all I can say. He did it again, because this manga is phenomenal so far. And at every point in the manga, it's like I'm constantly asking myself what could go wrong next, and then something goes wrong next. And that just happens literally every volume, it feels like. And I really love that about Shuzo Oshimi's work. And same thing goes with like in Pleasure and Corruption. You're like, what could go wrong here? And then something goes wrong here, and it catches me every time. Like I said, I did read all the way up to volume 8, which I want to say is the most up-to-date volume. But this manga is about an overprotective mom, and just her trying to protect her son. And I want to say the son's name is Seiichi and the mom's name is Seiko. I know they're both Sei, but I'm probably gonna forget later on. But the art in here, beautiful. The characters, just the dynamic between all of the characters is beautiful. And he does this, like, I don't know what to call it, but the style of shading and the style of characters and all of that, it's just so ominous feeling. I don't know how to describe it, but that's kind of just how it feels, and it fits the story so well. Now, the manga is about, like I said, this overprotective mom who is basically, the family goes on a bit of a family trip, and Seiichi has this cousin who kind of just plays around too much, and something happens, and from there, the story kicks off. And it does start out a little bit slow until then, but you have this constant feeling of what's gonna happen, when is it gonna happen, and then when it finally does happen, it's only just the beginning, and it is beautiful, honestly. And I finished reading this manga in about a day. Honestly, I caught up to all 8 volumes in a single day. I lost a lot of sleep over it because this manga, once I picked it up, I just couldn't put it down, honestly. And I'm really glad that I read this manga. And once again, I would recommend this more than I would recommend Pleasure and Corruption. I feel like this is a little, I wouldn't really call it softer, but I think it's a little more acceptable to other people because Pleasure and Corruption does deal with a lot of bondage and a lot of, well, both of them kind of deal with abuse actually, but this I'd probably recommend a lot more, and you know, vice versa. But let's move on to the next manga. Okay, so we're kind of about at the end here. I do have just 3 more volumes that I did read, and the first one we're going to talk about is Gigan Volume 7. Once again, another manga I really would not recommend to anyone. One, it is very mature. If you have read anything by Hiroya Oku, such as Gantz or Inuyashiki, this is definitely along those lines, but I wouldn't. Another reason I wouldn't recommend it, this manga isn't really that good. I'll be very honest. It is very fun to read, but it's not that good. And this volume kind of, it just feels like it's a setup for the next volume, which is fine because I know, or I think it's ending at 10 volumes and this is volume 7. So if it is just setting up for the next volume, that's fine. I did enjoy reading this volume like every other volume because it's just a really fun manga. It's a turn your brain off and enjoy kind of manga, and I love it, honestly. But a lot happens in this manga. A lot gets revealed regarding these guys. A lot gets revealed regarding Papiko, as well as just the whole, I guess the premise of the story kind of gets a lot more explained. Such as time travel, a lot of stuff, honestly. Also, like I said, yeah, the premise of the story does get explained and how a lot of things came to be. I wouldn't, like I said, really recommend this manga at all, especially if you just want to get into something by Hiroya Oku. I would recommend Inuyashiki first before this or Gantz, honestly. And I know Inuyashiki is pretty hard to get your hands on, I think, actually. I know, I want to say volume 10 or so is out of print. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, this manga is iffy. I'd say probably just do some research on it if you think you might be interested in it. But the next manga we're going to talk about is one I would recommend to almost anybody, and that's Call of the Night, Volume 7. Now, this volume, I loved it so much, as well as volume 6, which was a setup for this volume, and it reveals so much of Nazuna's backstory. I'm not gonna say anything about it because I know maybe not everybody knows Call of the Night or is caught up to it, but for those who are caught up, definitely know what I'm talking about. And I loved this volume. The story in it, it was funny, especially towards the end, regarding an otaku. It was really funny, but it's so interesting just watching the characters grow, as well as now that the story has kind of kicked in for it, it's become significantly more interesting to me, because the first 3 volumes of it I wasn't really messing with because it was just a straight rom-com, and some of the jokes were very hit or miss. I wasn't really vibing with it in the beginning, but after volume 4, this has easily become one of my favorite manga. As I say almost every time I talk about this, the character designs and the art is just beautiful. There's a very specific page that I want to look for because it just looks so cool to me, honestly, and that is this page right here. On this side, it was this page, and I think the one before it. Yes, it just the character designs, I guess the camera work or the angle, just looks so cool, honestly. And I really love this manga so much. And it is by the same person who made Dagashi Kashi, if you're familiar. But this manga was so much fun to read. That's all I can say. And the story, like I said, has been getting so good, and I'm looking forward to where it's gonna go next, honestly. Now the last manga is a manga that I'm sure almost at least a good amount of you have heard of by now, which is Spy Family Volume 7. Now, reading this volume, so when I think of Spy Family, I kind of just think of it as an action comedy, but this volume reminded me that it's actually very wholesome at times, especially with the first chapter about Damien here, or Desmond. I forgot his name. I think it is Damien Desmond, but just this chapter about him was just so wholesome. And like I said, I honestly forget that it is a very wholesome manga at times, but this chapter about him was just so fun and just so refreshing to read, as well as because I believe every character got a chapter in this manga. The chapter with the dog here was really fun. Honestly, every time I read this manga, I'm reminded of how much I actually love Spy Family and why I love Spy Family. And if you have been watching the anime but haven't read the manga, I would definitely recommend checking out the manga for this. It is so good, so much fun. The anime is really good too, I'll be very honest. I'm not caught up to it, but it is really good. But something about the manga is just so enjoyable. I don't know, maybe that's just me personally, because I just prefer reading manga a bit more than watching anime. But I don't know, man. It's so good. And that's really all I've been reading this month, or last month. But once again, be sure to comment down what you've been reading, if you got anything to recommend, how you feel about the things I read, have you read them too, you know, all that stuff. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at SimonSabroYT, and you know, leave a like if you enjoyed, hit the subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss an upload, and all that good stuff, you know. And that's really all from me. Yeah, this is Simon Sabro signing out. I catch you on the next one.